I'm joined with Dan Dickson from Endeavour Silver at the Beaver Creek Precious Metals Summit. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So at the time that we are sitting here, we have $30 silver, we have gold hitting all-time highs.
Yeah.
And the theme with all the CEOs we're talking with is there seems to be a disconnect between the equity markets and the commodity price. What's your read on that?
Yeah, I think it's just going to take some time for that disconnect to kind of squeeze up, and it'll ultimately come. I think our balance sheets in the space are going to get a lot stronger, and that's going to get noticed by the generalists. And ultimately, when those generalists start coming in our space, that disconnect's going to go away. I think in the last 10 years, you've seen some capital destruction, and there's still some people on the sidelines that remember those times. It's an opportunity right now for a lot of mining companies to, like I say, improve their balance sheets and maybe look at other opportunities to continue to grow when that time comes.
Now, there's been some M&A recently in the silver world with Gatos and First Majestic. Were you guys in on that?
No, so our market cap and Gatos market cap is very similar size. Ultimately, they're a single asset producer in Mexico, so we're very well with what they're doing, and I think they've done a great job. For us, we're really focused on our Terronera construction, and ultimately, we think we'll have a re-rating at the end of the year. We're planning to go into commissioning in Q4 this year. So we've been on the sidelines from an M&A standpoint, just focusing internally on what we're doing. Once we get Terronera completed and kind of get some value built into that and see if our multiple changes, then we'd probably start looking at opportunities to continue to grow the company. We have some great growth pipeline items that you and I talked to in the past, including Pitarrilla. So we're built out for the near term and long term, but we're always inquisitive about things that can improve our company, that's for sure.
So since we last talked in our last interview, you guys put out some pretty strong Q2 results, but you guys experienced some issues at your flagship mine.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, for the first half of the year, we had great momentum, great rhythm. We were at the top end of our guidance range, and we'd done 4.4 million silver equivalent ounces. We had guided originally in the year 8.1 to 8.8, so we were right there. In August, unfortunately, we had a trunnion failure at Guanaceví, and it's impacted us immensely in the fact that our production is going to be reduced for about 15 weeks because of throughput capabilities. So we're going to be basically operating at 500 tons per day when historically we operate 1,200 tons per day. We'll segregate some of our minerals, so we're going to lose about 1 million ounces of silver production this year, which is between Q3 and Q4. Doesn't mean we won't get it. Eventually we'll get it. It's just been deferred. So we're casting a new trunnion. It's quite an old mill, so it takes a little bit of time, and really it's about getting into the foundries and getting that cast, that trunnion ultimately cast. So a little bit of a tough couple weeks when we're there, but I think we're doing really well, and we've bounced back, and ultimately, like I say, in November we'll be back up to full capacity at Guanaceví, and next year I expect another 9 million ounces of silver production from our existing assets, and then we'll layer on Terronera on top of that.
Now, it sounds like you're pretty laser focused on getting Terronera into production.
Yep.
What about in terms of some of the other smaller opportunities that are out there? Are you guys looking to look at some of that M&A on some of those smaller deals?
Yeah, I mean, we're always inquisitive and looking at that. Like I say, we have a nice pipeline inside Endeavour with Pitarrilla. It's one of the world's largest undeveloped silver assets. We've defined 600 million ounces of silver plus lead and zinc, so it's got huge scale. We're looking at it from an underground standpoint. We also have an asset called Pitarrilla. We've defined close to 60 million ounces of silver there. It's an old historical district that produced 4 million ounces of silver. That's something that we can continue to invest in and bring along as well. Now, of course, we're always, like I say, being inquisitive in the smaller junior space of who's making some discoveries and can we make those discoveries bigger. So we're continually looking at that. It's about resource allocation. So as we're focused on building Terronera, that's what we've really been trying to allocate our resources to. But ultimately in 2025, we can probably get more aggressive or inquisitive than what we have been in the last couple of years.
Okay, last question for you. If I'm an investor watching or I'm following those silver names and I have you guys on my watch list, what am I looking out for over the next year?
Yeah, that's simple. I mean, obviously our commissioning in Q4 is very important, and then from that it's the ramp up of Terronera. So ramp up is going to see us go from 0 tons throughput to 2,000 tons per day. ultimately, on an annualized production basis, it's about 7 million silver equivalent ounces. That's our biggest catalyst coming forward. Ultimately, I believe right now the silver price is building very nicely and consolidating right now at $30, but I think there's a lot more left from silver to run. I mean, gold, as you say, is making all-time highs. $50 the all-time high for silver. We're at 30. There's a long ways to go to get to that 50 and then ultimately make new all-time highs. So our space is shaping up to look very good for 2025, and I think Endeavour's set up extremely well with Terronera coming online for that. And then ultimately, we're going to come out with a plan on Pitarrilla and how we're going to advance that project. Our goal is to become a senior silver producer. As silver is going to run here, we're going to be positioned extremely well to be able to show the market that we have great assets and then ultimately growth behind that asset. So for us, it's going to be an exciting year in 2025.
Well, Dan, thanks very much for hopping on here, and hopefully we can chat after you guys commission Terronera in Q4, and we can update our audience on how that's going.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dan.